Hello, thank you for contacting Amazon customer service. My name is who do I have the pleasure of assisting?
Hi, my name is Tim.
Hey Tim, let me get your account pulled up. Can you provide me with your email address?
Well, actually, I'm just looking to buy a movie for my friend Paul. He really, really, really likes Freddie Prinze Jr. And I saw this one called She's All That. Have you seen that movie?
She's all that.
Yeah, it came out in 1999.
Oh, I think I have seen this.
Okay, can you tell me about it at all? Like, I haven't seen it before. I just want to know what it's about.
No, I was young. I was like probably 5 when it came out.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, I didn't understand the concept. They have it on Prime Video as well if you want. I mean.
Oh, perfect.
Watch it.
Oh, Paul is going to be so excited.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your help, and I hope you have a great day.
All righty then. Well, thank you for contacting Amazon. You have a good one.
You too. Bye. Hello, and a Happy New Year. This is Good Times with Bad Movies. I'm your host, Tim, joined by my co-host, Paul. Paul, how you doing?
I am fantastic, Tim. It's a brand new year. I'm fantastic. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm happy the holidays are over and ready for this new year.
Yeah, rested, ready to go, ready to kick this New Year's ass.
Yeah, ready to get into some more bad movies.
Bring them on. Bring them all on.
We've got a doozy for you today. But first, we normally do it at the end, but this time, just to get it out of the way, for those of people who don't know, we have a social media following. You can find us on Instagram, where we post previews and little clips of our show and ads for new episodes to come. You can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes, and pretty much any other platforms that would carry podcasts.
Quickly here, on Instagram, it's at Good Times Bad Movies. Check it out. We're always posting clips. And subscribe to our YouTube page.
So, the first movie of our new year is She's All That. Came out in 1999, directed by Robert Iskov, and distributed by Miramax Films. So the basic premise of this movie is two high school seniors make a bet that one of them won't be able to make the most unpopular girl in high school, a nerd, what you will, the prom queen. And their prom is in 6 weeks.
Yeah. This is who thought this was going to be a valid movie?
Dude, this is one of the most passively mean-spirited movies I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, as we go through this, there is some character development with FPJ, but aside from him and Lainey, basically everybody in this movie is pretty shitty.
Oh yeah, they're like the worst people you might remember from high school, like turned up to 100.
Yeah. Might as well just jump into this movie, just like we're jumping into the new year, and let's just start kicking this movie's ass, because it kind of kicked mine.
This movie starts off with your typical like 90s music, just not like the good stuff, like the Seattle punk rock and stuff like that, but like that pop music disguised as rock, like Smash Mouth, or this isn't Smash Mouth, but it's something very much along those lines. We're basically seeing Lainey, who we're going to meet in a few moments, working on an art project piece, a paper mache wall collage.
Yeah, this is a collage. It's, you know what she's doing? She's just like cut out photos of magazines and newspapers, and she's just basically lazily pasted them on a canvas, and then she painted something that almost kind of looks like a silhouette of the Notorious B.I.G. with a crown on in the back, and this weird, it's like a vent glued onto this thing with another thing, and it's just, I'm just gonna say, I know art is subjective, but this is trash. So she's painting in her room here in the morning, like a very hipster Bob Ross would.
Yeah, and her overalls.
So she goes to her little paint-covered overalls and goes to her brother's door and knocks on the door and goes to wake her brother up. What's his name? Simon?
Or is he Simon? Is he Simon, or is the other guy Simon? There's so many people in this movie.
I don't know. This was like melting my brain a little bit trying to watch this.
Well, their last name is Boggs, so let's just call him Brother Boggs.
Okay, so he's the Boggs brother. Okay, so Boggs boy here gets up, and while she's banging on the door trying to wake him up, she like threatens to hawk a loogie into his whatever this is, coffee or something.
It was orange juice.
Yeah, it's disgusting. What is that? She's just like that little kid in Big Daddy. Like, this is disgusting. So she does that and then gives him his coffee. And we cut back. So now we're going to cut to the school where FPJ is rolling up.
So Freddie Prinze Jr. has a parking space, reserved parking, because he's the president. And he also, when he walks into school, he walks by a giant portrait of him on the wall. Now, I remember like my high school presidents, but I don't remember them like having reserved parking or having like their portrait on the wall. Is that normal in schools?
Well, I mean, keep in mind, he goes to school where Usher is the radio DJ. So, and there's like apparently 2,000 kids in their school too. So this is a fairly big high school. I mean, I don't know. Again, grew up in a little small town high school versus these people in California in this crazy 2,000, 4,000 person high school where Usher is your radio DJ every day and just apparently giving away your innermost secrets. But, apparently that's just the school he goes to.
Yep. It's very bizarre. So he's walking in for a little bit, and then basically he's catching up with his friends Dino, which is the late Paul Walker. Dino is bragging about the girl that he had sex with on the plane, and just like the language they use in this movie is like pretty like crude for like high school kids. I mean, I guess high school kids do speak that way too, but he was like 30,000 feet in the sky. I was totally jamming this stewardess. And it's just words like that. Like, I've never heard anybody use the word jam for like implying sex.
Yeah. Well, this is like really crappy 90s like slang and lingo, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they thought this was cool. I don't know who wrote. I always say this. I always say who wrote this, but really, I feel like a 40-year-old person was trying to write for somebody who's 19 in 1999. Actually, real quick, do you know who apparently rewrote a bunch of this movie was M. Night Shyamalan. That's right. So maybe that would explain why half this movie doesn't make sense. He's like, I'm going to put a twist in it.
There's a lot of dialogue that is just really lame and uncreative. Like at one point during this conversation, Paul Walker, I can't remember which one says it to the other one, but we'll just say Freddie Prinze Jr. says to Paul Walker, it just hit me. There's 8 weeks left of the school year. And he's like, yeah, I know. You say it like every 5 minutes. And he's like, yeah, but it really hit me when I was driving to school today. And I thought, tomorrow's not just tomorrow. Tomorrow's also the future, man. He
honestly sounded like someone was writing for Keanu Reeves as Bill and Ted when he said this. He was like, it was like tomorrow is the future, I guess this is supposed to be insightful. Like he's supposed to be like he's planning into the future. That's what my wife says anyways. I don't know about that. I think it's just kind of the writing sucks, but maybe he is looking into the future and looking ahead in his life, potentially thinking that he's going to question where he's going.
No sooner his girlfriend, who's been gone on spring vacation, I guess they've all been on spring vacation, his girlfriend went to Daytona for spring break, and she basically just kind of brushes him off as he's ready to embrace her after this little break. And everyone's like, oh, you don't know? And so he goes up to Taylor, and Taylor tells him about the time that she had in spring break. So we get this flashback this is a really weird flashback. So it's a flashback of the spring break, but it's Freddie Prinze Jr. and Taylor walking around the actual scene discussing this story that she's telling him while we're also watching Taylor act out the story that she's telling. It's really confusing and not even that important.
Yeah, it's like a little Natural Born Killers sort of thing going on here.
Yeah.
A la Oliver Stone.
Through partying with random people, she got tickets to, I think, a music video recording or taping, something like that.
It was Warren G's hairdresser.
Warren G's
the regulator.
Yes. When they were recording, Warren G asked her to get up on a certain platform near the water, near the pool, and dance. When she did, but she stumbled over and almost fell on Matthew Lillard, who in this movie is named Brock Hudson. He's notorious for just being an obnoxious jerk. The spring break scene leads to Taylor dumping Freddie Prinze Jr. on the spot at school. And she really couldn't care less. Basically, like, she has no heart. And she's like, oh, you thought that I was going to remain your girlfriend after you leave for college? That's so sweet. And gives him like a little slap on the cheek and just kind of walks away. And he's left brokenhearted. Also, she also showed him a tattoo. She got a tattoo with Brock Hudson to remember the 3 days that they spent together.
Yeah, his looks like one of those Steve-O like stick and poke tattoos that he's got on his body. They're all sketchy. So now, Freddie Prinze Jr., brokenhearted. That's where we leave him temporarily, and we're going to art class, and we're gonna see some of the people around Lainey, because she's here painting. These two girls roll up to Lainey, and they start talking to her, and they just basically passive aggressively tell her to kill herself. I think that was the whole point of this whole thing.
Yeah, they make a point of telling her that a lot of artists' work becomes famous after they've died. So with that piece of information, perhaps she should just go kill herself. It's like really mean. And this is totally unprovoked. Like, Lainey hasn't done anything like to provoke a comment like that. She seems pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, that was like, those girls went mind ninja on her.
Yeah, so after that dark moment, we go to Usher, who is I guess he is the high school announcement DJ person. I've never gone to a high school where you had a radio DJ, namely one that was Usher. But
while he was talking over the speakers, I didn't hear him give one update about the school. The only thing that he had to say
is that Taylor dumped Freddie Prinze Jr. and he's totally sad, and now he's not sure what he's going to do about prom.
This is like OG TMZ Gossip Girl drama alert kind of style radio, but there you go. So the boys are walking around now, and obviously everyone's kind of laughing at Zach. And who rolls up in his little Corvette? But it's Mr. Real World Speedo glasses there, Matthew Lillard with his Steve-O tattoo, and he meets Taylor, sort of shoves it in Zach's face a little bit that he's got his girl.
Oh yeah, they're going right at it, like out in the parking lot.
Yeah, it was like it was like Lloyd Christmas making out with Mary Swanson.
Yeah.
in Dumb and Dumber. That's what that was like.
Did you understand? Like, is Brock Hudson like did he just like enroll at this school or something?
No, he's see, that's the creepy thing too, right? Because he's like partying. This guy's got to be like 21. They're probably 17, maybe 18. This should be statutory, right?
Yeah. By the way, I want you to guess right quick. How old do you think Freddie Prinze Jr. and Paul Walker are in this movie as they play 18-year-old high schoolers?
I mean, they look so young. Actually, I gotta say, the shaved face. But I'm gonna guess. Let's see if I can keep the streak alive here. I'm gonna guess 28.
For which, both of them are?
Okay, let's say Paul Walker 28, Freddie Prinze Jr. 30.
Paul Walker is 26, and Freddie Prinze Jr. is 23.
Really? Okay, so I was way off. I was expecting them to be like grizzled old men or something.
I think they do look young, but I really don't think 26-year-olds should be playing. Like, they don't look young enough for me to believe that they're in high school.
I think we covered this before with Crossroads and Justin Long.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
I totally know what you're saying there, because I'm just not going to start going down that trail again.
No, you're right.
There you go.
Right.
I don't know. I will say they don't look like they're 17, 18 at all. That's for sure. So, they look older. But so I did have a question for you. This is now the whole scene. This is what we're going to build up to why this movie exists, apparently. Because since it's been put to the school's attention that FPJ has been kicked to the curb, we'll keep it 90s lingo here, Paul Walker's giving him the gears about being a laughingstock. So Freddie Prinze Jr. basically says, hey man, she's not all that. She's not all that. If you take away the makeup and the looks, she's just basically someone with a very below average grade, and she's kind of a mean person. So that's the nicest way I'm going to put that. And basically now there's a challenge issued. Paul Walker says to FPJ, if you think you're so hot, I'm going to pick somebody for you, and you have to turn them into the prom queen. And by the way, what is it? There's like 8 weeks or 6 weeks.
There's 6 weeks to prom.
That's right. 6 weeks left in the prom. So this is where we're going. But I had a question before we go too far here. So in this movie, to me, at the start of the movie, the way they introed everybody, it seemed like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Paul Walker are friends. And as we go through this movie here, Paul Walker, for some reason, gets increasingly more and more hostile and more aggressive and belligerent to FPJ. Now, are they supposed to be friends?
I thought that they were supposed to be friends. They seemed like they were identifying as like best friends, like they play soccer together. So maybe they're friends by proxy of the game. I don't know, but like they're making bets with each other. They seem to. I can't explain it. I have no idea. But you're right. Paul Walker gets really, really kind of crazy after a while, and seemingly unprovoked at that.
Yes, this is really confusing. So without getting too far ahead of ourselves, I mean, I just want to leave it there that he's kind of going to be, for the rest of the movie, Paul Walker's R.I.P. is going to be a dick to FPJ in this movie as we go through here. So now they start making the rounds through the school, and they start looking for somebody to nominate to FPJ that he has to turn into the prom queen now. And some of these girls that we're going to see here that we go through, I mean, first of all, they're just like super rude to these girls and pretty degrading.
Oh, yeah, very degrading. I mean, her boobs are too small. No,
One girl who says she's got a Chelsea Clinton thing going on.
Yeah, like
right in front of the girl's face.
Man, that's mean. and by the way, none of these girls are even like unattractive, and the one they settle on is way more attractive than
there was. Well, one. Maybe I don't know how attractive one of the girls was because all you saw was her picking her butt for about 5 seconds. That was kind of gross. But honestly, what I thought was, yeah, if they had picked anybody other than Lainey, then I think FPJ would have lost. And this is the other thing too. What is it? What are the stakes of the bet here? Is it just if you don't win, you don't win? Because at the end of the movie, something else happens that I'm not going to spoil right now, but they don't actually seem to set up any sort of stipulation as to what is on the line. So why do I care? They're just kind of being dickheads, you know?
Exactly. I wondered that they do reveal what the stipulation is at the very end, but it's already over at that point.
That's what I mean. You didn't really agree on anything at the start then. So where did this come in? Did he slip him a note later on and be like, "Hey, P.S. this is what it is"? Like, I don't know.
So going back to Lainey for a second, like, what's so wrong with her being like a painter? She's not unattractive at all, like in the least.
Right? Yeah, she just got paint covered overalls on, and that's what's up with that? That's it. And she fell going up the stairs, and they're like, this clumsy girl, which is like, it's not like she's got like weird tumbleweed in her hair, or she smells weird, or like she's got, like she's got paint on her. She's a nerd. Like, okay.
Freddie Prinze Jr. was appalled. He was like, no, anyone but her.
I'll take Bubble Girl. Bubble Girl. Okay. So someone's blowing bubbles. It's pretty easy to, okay.
I guess this is a segue. There's this pointless scene with a clip of Matthew Lillard on The Real World where he's farting and no one likes him, and end scene. And then we're at Zachary's house where his dad is hassling him about applying to universities. And obviously, Freddie Prinze Jr. is putting it off because I guess he's just not ready to make decisions right now. And he goes to his room after he just told his dad that he'll apply soon. He takes out a stack of papers that I thought it was going to be a whole bunch of rejection letters, and he didn't want to like show his dad, but it's actually a whole bunch of acceptance letters from Dartmouth, Yale, and Harvard.
Yeah, these are like Ivy League schools that this guy's gotten accepted into, and he's just trying to hide them from his dad. Which, I mean, we'll see later why, but I mean, did they really say what he's going to? I don't even think they really say what he's going to school for.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you even know what he's supposed to be studying?
No. Okay, no. So again, we'll get to this later, but it just, like, who is it? Like, I don't know anything about this guy. This movie is so Oh, it's just like so one dimensional, and it's just like it's mind numbing to watch because nothing really happens, and everybody's really mean to each other. And I think we sort of glossed over it quickly, but before he went to the to his room to hide these letters from his dad, there's basically his sister's in the kitchen, and she asked him who the quote rebound skank is. Which is like, why is this girls? Why are these girls talking trash about these other girls? I mean, so like, no, a lot of people in the front of this movie, a lot of people are just really mean to each other, and they're just like absolute dicks for no reason. Like, I remember kids being rude to each other in high school, but not like this aggressive about it, you know?
This is so unprovoked, right? Like, it's just mean every corner you turn, except for Lainey. I mean, Lainey's nice.
She's kind of weird, and you know, we're gonna see later. But yeah, she's pretty much the only normal, I guess, as normal as this movie's gonna get. She's pretty much the only normal person, you know.
So, anyways, Zachary is out to get Lainey, and he that sounded kind of funny, huh? And yeah. He approaches her after she drops her books and stuff, and she's standing by her brother, and he walks over and he looks at her brother and says, "Hey, Spaz." And then the brother says, "He said my name." And she said, "Your name isn't Spaz." And it's like, are these jokes?
No, I think she's I mean, like, well, they sort of make it look like Lainey takes, you'll see, she takes care of her family in this movie. She's sort of the matriarch in the family, you know, like, because they set it up early, yeah, that her mom passed away when, you know, I think her brother was young or something like that. So it seems like she sort of cleans and keeps everybody together in the house. So that's what it seems like too. She's at school. She's just, you know, protecting her little brother.
Yeah, I suppose. So that approach didn't win her over, and he decides to show up at her work because that's totally normal.
Yeah, and it's not like she works at like a McDonald's or like a Taco Bell or something like that. She works at a falafel place. Is that what this is?
Yeah, she's got a falafel hat on her head.
Is that what? Oh, that's okay. So okay, thank you. I thought it was supposed to be food at first, and then I thought it was flowers and like a weird. Because I mean, this is the thing. This girl in the movie is actually she's a pretty girl, and it's not very hard to believe that this is some weird unpopular girl because she's got paint on her shoes or something. Like, okay, whatever. And they just gave her a goofy falafel hat and an alleged falafel hat, I should say, and she's just glasses, and they're like, "Now you're a nerd. You're a nerd. That's a Hollywood nerd.
You're unpopular. Everyone hates you."
We're like, how out of touch were the people that wrote this, and they thought this is real life, guys. This is what people do.
Yeah, that's a good way to say this. This movie is very out of touch.
It is. And so it's funny though. So you know who's in this movie too? Do you ever watch Mighty Ducks?
Oh yeah.
Fulton Reed. That's her best friend. He's in this movie. He's got Kevin McAllister like bleach blonde hair, and you know, look like he stopped skating a little bit.
Wow, you're like one of these mean girls on the movie. Poor guy.
I'm not telling anybody to jump off a bridge.
No, that's true. Compared to that, you're being all right.
I want the best for Fulton Reed, okay? I'm sure he's doing well now. I don't know.
Well, he is. He's Daredevil. Well, he's not Daredevil. He's Daredevil's sidekick.
We roast people on this show all the time, Tim. What equal opportunity.
Yeah, I suppose. I just felt like he really didn't deserve it.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, because he is actually the only one of we did mention earlier that there aren't any nice people in the movie besides Lainey. He is actually nice.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. And then the brother is too. I feel bad for the brother.
Yeah, I feel bad for him too.
That brother gets ripped on incessantly in this movie for no reason.
Freddie Prinze Jr. is basically just pretending that he loves art to appeal to her, and it's not really working. But her friend here, the former Mighty Duck player, decides to offer up a ticket to an art show tonight. And Freddie Prinze takes it, so I guess he's just going to go there and watch an art show. And right before that scene ends, she goes back to the counter, and this older gentleman asks for her to supersize my balls. And it's just so weird because it's like silence. It's like dead silence after these weird jokes. So then we go to the Jester Theater Hall Club Performing Arts Center. That's what I'm going to call it. And man, we get some art performances here.
Well, so we're gonna go to a stage here where there's just weird. Their images. It's mostly like war and like smoke clouds and lightning and like supposed to be ominous and scary. And there's this like silver sheet that's kind of waving around, and it's sort of just like undulating and moving, and there's different things poking in out here and there, and all of a sudden this guy like in his underwear, like Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, just kind of pops out.
Yeah, for Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Walter White pops out of this.
Yeah, he bursts out with confetti.
Yeah, it was like Rip Taylor and Walter White wrapped into one for just 1 second. They exploded out and just started running around the stage. And then there's for a politically correct term, we'll call them little people that were just running out in blue little jumpsuits. And one guy screams, "I want to be like Mike." And the other person said something about hamburgers or something, I think. So that happens. And then they all fall to the ground. And then Lainey pops out, and she's kind of painted up like the chicken, like the guys in Dead Presidents. And she's got a white jumpsuit, and she comes out with a little cloth, and she starts singing with these guys, "Be silent, be still." And they just kind of say this for a little bit. And that is apparently art.
Yeah. They ended with a kumbaya.
Yeah, and all the beatniks in the place go wild, and they love it. And Freddie Prinze Jr. just stands there and watches this guy who looks kind of like Ben Stiller in his underwear. Just kind of smiling, and that's it. So there you go. And Freddie Prinze Jr. thinks, oh, well, that was it. That was kind of whatever. But little does he know that he is about to go up on the stage and perform, because he is called out there and sort of coaxed onto the stage, shall we say.
Yeah, everyone's applauding. You can't say no after they announce that you're the next performer.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Garbage. So he comes up to the stage now and proceeds to pull out a hacky sack and does, I guess, what I would call performative slam poetry hacky sack. It's basically he just does a bunch of keep ups on his foot while saying stuff, being like, "Gotta keep up, Zach. Can't slow down. Can't stop. Can't drop it.
Everybody's watching. Everybody's looking at you."
Yeah, and I guess you're supposed to get, he's got a lot of pressure on him, and he's worried about life and stuff, and it's like, okay, thanks, man. I mean, did we need a hacky sack thing? Because he's just like chanting that too at one point. Hacky sack. Hacky sack. Like, this is like, and when this was happening, I'm sitting there on the couch going, oh my God. Like, why do, it was like, this was one of those movies that when we first brought it up, I was like, damn, that's a good idea. And then I got like half an hour into it, and I was like, damn, this was a bad idea.
Yeah, I realized that right away. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be a long one. He does eventually drop the hacky sack, and that's where his performance art ends. And everybody absolutely loves it. And Lainey is kind of like, And Freddie Prinze Jr. is like just absolutely excited. He feels like he's so free. He's never gotten to do that before.
Yeah, see, this is my problem with what I'm going to just term modern art here, because stuff like this, which I have seen, maybe not this hacky sack stuff. I mean, like that takes talent, right? But people swirling around silver claws and exploding out with confetti, I just think maybe you need to work on some new material, you know? But, so it's a big hit, and they leave the club now.
Yeah, they have a nice moment together. Freddie Prinze Jr. Decides to get a little creepy and hits on her just to make this bet work. And he tells her to take off her glasses, asks her why she doesn't wear contacts, and then tells her that she has beautiful eyes. However, she is smart and sees right through that veil.
Yeah, you know what, though? Okay, so I could understand her having suspicions that he has ulterior motives, but it's not like she's going to guess that they want to secretly make her the prom queen.
Yeah, I felt like her reaction was a little bit over the top, like too much, overreacted, because she's like, who do you think you are? You think that you can just give girls compliments? Like, I'm going to have sex with you, or like something. I don't know. I don't know why she was so offended. Like, she could just have laughed and be like, oh, come on, give me a break, and walk away, right? Like, I don't think you need to be offended over the situation.
Yeah, like, I mean, he's supposed to be like the star athlete, it's really smart, and like, FPJ is a good looking dude. So you think someone like her would just be somewhat interested in that, or maybe her heart would be a flutter and she'd just be all awkward about it. But she got very, her back got up against the wall quickly about that one, which is, fair enough. We're going to go to the scene here quickly.
Another pointless one.
Well, this is a very strange and pointless scene because now this girl Taylor is just licking Matthew Lillard's nipples. That's basically what's happening. She's like sucking on his nipples. I think what this was supposed to be was like PG-13 sex. They're like, you can have some crude language. You can apparently call people skanks and just like do that. But we don't want you doing any weird sex stuff. So just suck on his nipples for 2 minutes here. Can you?
Yeah. Well, he's just watching himself on TV.
Yeah, this is very weird. It's really weird. I mean, obviously you're supposed to get that he's an egotistical person at this, and they're both very shallow, but that was just a really weird scene.
Very. I think this scene is here just to show us that, to convince us that these two are just really crappy people. But they go so full tilt boogie on it at the very beginning that even here, like a half hour into the movie, it's already too much. Like, we already know we do not ever want to be around these people.
No. Yeah, that's just like it's just toxic people.
Yeah.
So now I guess we after we get that little weird scene, we're going to cut back to FPJ, who just will not stop, and he's back over at Lainey's house. And honestly, man, this house that they have here, wow. It looks, I mean, you don't really get to see it, but it looks like it's a pretty big house. Like, and it's in a nice neighborhood they have. This is like, it's a pretty sweet setup. It just seems like she's supposed to be this, like, or it seems like the family is supposed to be this, they've fallen on hard times. That's kind of the vibe I get from it. Like, it's tough for them, but they're living it up pretty good.
That's why the children work. Because, it's hard to maintain that lifestyle that they once had. So he was like, you know what, kids? Either we're getting a smaller house now, or you two get jobs.
Yeah, you have to go to the falafel store and make $6.50 an hour, or I can't pay for this place. Like, what? How bad did this guy manage his money?
Yeah, and son, what? You're young. You can work at school. Go apply at the cafeteria.
Yeah, and then afterwards, he's like, it's when the summer comes up, he's just like, now you're working with me installing pools or whatever they're doing, fixing pumps, But FBJ shows up and he sees his dad for a second, and we get this weird scene where so the dad is apparently supposed to be just an idiot. I think that's what I get from this, right? Because we're gonna have this ongoing joke here in this where he's watching Jeopardy and just blurting out the wrong answers the entire time.
Can't get anything right.
Yeah, but so FBJ comes up to him and says, "Hey man, how are you? How's the pool business going?" And then he just tells him that he found something in a pool and pulls out
a
jockstrap.
God.
Why did we need any of that? I wanted to mention this too, because I mean, honestly, in America, I'm pretty sure the number one sport has got to be football. So
probably baseball is there.
Yeah, and if Zach's supposed to be the most popular kid in the school, why is it the soccer team that he's the captain of? Why isn't he captain of the football team?
It's a good question.
Or like baseball, soccer just seemed like a weird pick. I mean, there's the big green ladybugs, I don't know, kicking all the way. And
yeah, well, usually and when you think of these other fraternity type high schoolers in other movies like Varsity Blues, and I think even the parody of this Not Another Teen Movie, it's all football.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, Friday Night Lights. It's always football. How many American movies do you see that have even soccer that are even
right? They might as well just made him the captain of the lacrosse team or something.
Freddie Prinze Jr., with the help of Brother Boggs here, convinces Lainey to ditch her plans, helping her dad, and come to the beach with him and his friends. And she does, and they go to the beach, and she's kind of awkward and standoffish at first, and she decides that she's going to lay down on the towel and read, and she goes from supposed to be, I guess, the most unpopular, most unattractive one there in a second to probably a runner for the top most attractive one there. As soon as she takes off this, arrives at the beach in her overalls and paint covered clothes and all these dirty shoes and stuff and a sweater, and then disrobes all of that to reveal this a very nice tight black swimsuit.
Yeah.
That's very revealing. That, you know, for the character that we're supposed to believe that she is, like, I was kind of surprised and taken aback that she's got such a sexy swimsuit on, right? Just seems bizarre to me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, she went somewhere for that one.
Yeah.
But
Like, she's getting comfortable quick.
that's a good point. Also, I just want to note though, that's good. There's also a good point there too, where you raised where, like, who goes to the beach in shoes like these, like boots? She's wearing like paint covered Doc Martens to the beach. What is this? You know, like she doesn't have even. I feel like she would have. Well, they don't have Crocs, but she's gonna have some sort of like rusty pair of sandals or something she wears out. And like, is the only clothes she wears just like, oh, they're all paint covered? She doesn't have a pair of pants that she wears. Usually people wear smocks and stuff.
Yeah, you would think so, but maybe that's like supposed to be playing on her hard times. Maybe those are the only clothes she has. Doesn't want to paint naked.
What? I guess so.
I don't blame
We'll just
her.
leave that. We'll leave that one there. There you go. There you go. So they all just go and play volleyball.
Yeah,
So
that's it. And that whole scene. Oh my goodness, this movie. Yeah, they just go and play volleyball, and she's good at it. Or, well, she's like kind of good at it.
basically, the whole point of this scene is just to set up a party. So apparently, there's going to be a party at Preston's house, and later on that night. And so Lainey has been invited. So they're going to a party tonight, apparently. Maybe.
Well, she doesn't
Maybe.
want to go. Yeah, she can't go because she's got to clean the house. But of course, super creepy Freddie Prinze Jr. is back at the house with his soccer team.
Yeah. So it's like this is the JV team. These are just like the freshmen. They've come in there, and so he's got the scrubs to clean up her house now. And again, this is like Freddie Prinze Jr. at the start of this movie this is a very scummy guy, again, because he shows up to the house here and has a dress and a makeup artist just ready to go.
Yeah, well, that's his sister, right?
Yeah, I know it's his sister, but it's like, how presumptive is that? And then also, if you're the girl, like, how rude is that? Someone just like, wear this and I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna look like. Like, you put all this makeup on, like, especially this girl with she's a very natural looking person, so you would think she never wears makeup, right?
He's basically like a beauty and home makeover on top. He's got the soccer team to come in and clean the house, rearrange it, make it look good, and he's got a hairstylist / makeup beautician.
Yeah, he's like, here you go, you paint covered uggo. I'm gonna make you the prom queen. Stick with me, kid. Like, what a jerk.
So he just goes and sits on the couch, like watches TV for what's seemingly hours.
And yeah, and hangs out with Kieran Culkin, and he's getting served drinks. But yeah, so I mean, so here we go. This is the big scene I remember for this movie. Especially this got parodied a bunch and stuff too, and they played that stupid song that since I've watched this now, it's been stuck in my head at the worst of times.
This song is so hard to shake from your memory. I hear this song in my head probably once a week without even trying. My subconscious just plays it in my head. Whenever I hear someone
man.
say kiss or words that end in ing repeated over and over, I think of kiss me.
Yeah, it's a sixpence, threepence, none the richer. Some like, again, peak 90s band that I don't remember that had like a couple hits. And this is one of them, and this is like nails on a chalkboard. Because, again, this was like Footloose, but not in a good way. Because they play it a couple times through the movie. And even just like the instrumental plays a couple times. And I'm like, I don't want to hear this stupid little harmonica line or this stupid guitar or that lady sing any of this crap at all.
It's one of those songs where you've heard it. If you've heard it once or twice, like, you don't get any kind of feeling, like positive feelings after hearing it again. Unless, I guess, you're really into that. I bet you, though, there's probably a lot of people that are going to hear this that are going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Like, I love this song. Like, it's probably in their top 5 songs. People love this, I think.
Well, if I'm just gonna say if that's the case, then you probably think Friends is better than Seinfeld.
That's probably a fair assessment. I agree with that.
This is a song. This is a song that would be played, I think, if you were in hell for murdering somebody. They would just have this on a loop while you're being tortured.
Yeah, or When September Ends by Green Day. Something. Yeah.
Yeah,
songs along those
God,
lines.
God, that's another one. Yeah, just like, oh, there you go. We'll just leave it there. But anyways, we're hearing this stupid song again, and who comes down the stairs but naughty to haughty.
She's now Cinderella.
Laney to Laney. Just damn. Looking good.
That's good. Yeah.
Right? She's just the same. It's I mean, basically all this girl did was put a little bit of makeup on her and she cut her hair. And then she gave her sort of a very low cut dress, you know?
That's all she did.
Yeah, and now they're going over to Elon Musk's house, apparently. This giant Beverly Hills mansion with like 300 people. What do Preston's parents do? Are they Quincy Jones?
This guy's house is bigger than their school.
Right? This place is massive.
I know that South Park came out before this, and I don't know how this is going to sound, but I mean it with the best of intentions. So the character in South Park called Token. I'm pretty like, I don't know, but this character, Preston here, seems like might have inspired the character Token in South Park. I'm not going to get into the reasons why, but that's the way it kind of looks to me. That, yeah, there's not a lot of diversity in this movie is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I definitely, again, just to bring it home, I think the writers were definitely at a touch on a lot of different levels in this movie, you know? And that could I think that could definitely be one of them. So they're in this house.
This house is like a club. It's better than like the majority of clubs that I've been to.
Yeah, this is wild. Just party going off here. And again, Matthew Lillard and Taylor come down the stairs, and they're both wasted. So we didn't talk about it at the start, which is like, thank God. But for some reason, whenever we see Matthew Lillard in this movie a bunch of times, like "Give It to Me, Baby" by Rick James just starts playing, and he's just having a good time. This is like this guy's theme song or something.
Yeah, and he is just incredibly obnoxious and basically try to start a dance party by himself, but immediately just takes a spotlight and kind of pushes people out of the way so that he can have I guess you'd call it like a circle dance where people like form a circle around you and you dance in the middle of it. Like, yeah, and he's really, really bad. I hardly even call it dancing. At some points, it looks like he's doing the bat dance, you know, where you have the peace signal on your the peace signal on your fingers, and like wave them across your eyes. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's doing like a bunch of weird stuff like that. So, you know, I think that Taylor at this point is starting to realize that, hey, you know, maybe I'm dating an idiot. But we don't have any sympathy for her because she is such a horrible person in her own right that I don't care. So, you know, it's kind of a pointless scene again, but we go to another part of the house where Lainey is at the bathroom and there is this girl named Misty who I feel like we're supposed to know who this girl is, but we just know her name's Misty and she is vomiting in the toilet.
You know who this girl is? This is the girl who told her to low-key kill herself.
Oh, I did not even... Okay, she looked totally... Wasn't she dressed like a goth earlier than that?
She was dressed like that chick from The Craft who was Bobby Boucher's girlfriend. That's who she reminded me of. That's what I thought it was at first, but I was like, oh, that's not her.
I didn't realize that was the same person.
That is, and you know how you know too is because this girl is trashed. And when we saw her in the art room, she was painting this. I'll call it a clown, but it was painted up sort of Harlequin. All these weird checker, yellow and blues and reds and stuff, and. So Lainey goes in the bathroom, sees this girl laying on the ground, and she's kind of wasted. And this girl is all drunk, and she just starts making fun of Lainey, and then kind of passes out in her own puke. And so Lainey sees all the makeup strewn on the floor, and decides that she is gonna have a little art attack. and so she's going all creative now. Maybe we'll see, because as this girl walks out of the bathroom. Because presumably some time has passed and she's got it together now, stumbled out. When you go to the mirror, you see her face is painted up like this Harlequin looking clown.
She did a great job of that face paint.
It was a very fantastic artist rendering, but it's to me this is off brand for Lainey because I feel like she should have had cups or something glued to this girl's face, you know?
Yeah, but it's a shame that she didn't get to enjoy that moment a little bit more. Like Lainey kind of gave this girl her comeuppance, but then just like immediately is charged and provoked by Taylor, who, you know, she's kind of upset that her boyfriend Brock is being an idiot, and just kind of starts to berate Lainey and just saying the most nastiest things you could probably think of to say to somebody. Like, nobody here likes you. You don't belong here. We've been trying to ignore you for years. People like you don't belong here. Just all that kind of rhetoric. And then, well, if you couldn't make it any worse, instead of throwing the cup of liquor in her face like you'd expect, she just kind of is like standing there with her cup. And she's like, oops, I've slipped. And like dumps her cup over into, I guess, above her chest and down her dress.
Yeah, just pours a drink down her top.
Yeah. And then she starts to like, you can tell that Lainey is like fighting off tears at this point. Taylor is like, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to cry? Are you going to cry? And so of course she's going to cry. And, you know, there's like 300 people surrounding her. Not one person steps to this girl's aid in any kind of way. She just runs out, cries, and the music starts playing again.
Yeah, everyone's just, well, I mean, these kids, this is like ice cold high, you know? Everybody is just cutthroat. So here's another, maybe a moment that's, seems that to me, this is like, this writing is either lazy again, or this is out of touch, because when Lainey runs outside crying, Freddie Prinze Jr. comes over and sort of comforts her, and he says to her, sometimes when you open up to people, you have to let in the good with the bad. And in this instance, it almost kind of seems like he's sort of saying, you got to let us rip on you a little bit sometimes.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, like, hey, if you want to hang out with us, you know, maybe sometimes you're just going to take a little bit of a rip, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, like you don't get to just enjoy the good stuff. You have to enjoy the bad stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, you want people to treat you with respect and be friendly to you? You don't get that over here. We're just going to take dumps on you and your brother sometimes. You know, that's just what's going to happen.
This isn't about who you are. This is about us tearing you down for a bit and seeing how much of it you're going to put up with.
Yeah, the writers were just really malicious in this movie with just every character. They're like, just give it to him. Give it to me, baby. Ding, ding, ding,
so
ding.
Then the next day they're at school. Lainey and her buddy, the former Mighty Ducks player there.
Fulton.
Yeah, Fulton.
Bash brother.
That's right, the Bash brother. I was trying to think of the name. They're walking through school, and she's kind of like feeling ashamed from everybody seeing her cry the night prior or the weekend prior. We don't know how much time has passed. Anyways, she's walking through school with him, trying to like kind of hide her face. And as people are walking around her, we're getting like, she's getting compliments like, you rock, you go girl. And like these random people are just saying this stuff to her, and you can kind of see all these like little pink pamphlets going around, and she gets one and is like, why is they're like questioning, why are they saying all these nice things about me? I don't deserve that, because her self-esteem's so terrible at this point. And we find out that she has been nominated for prom queen. So are they telling her that she rocks because she was nominated for prom?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question, because I don't know why all of a sudden it's weird, because I don't know why everyone's just nice to her now.
I would have thought about the clown face thing, like her painting that girl, but they didn't acknowledge it anymore after she, you know.
That's what I mean. Like, or this is what I'm thinking. It's weird that all these kids are just like really pumped up for this girl now, because she went to the party and didn't really talk to anybody. Just drew on this one girl's face. The other girl dumped a drink on her, and then she ran out crying. And then the next, whatever this is, everyone's like, yeah, you're awesome. So is she a charity case? Did she do something that they genuinely like? Did she actually talk to somebody there that we didn't get to see? And they're like, oh, she was actually, like, painty girl over there is actually kind of cool. I don't understand. Or just like people accept her now because they think that she's hot or something.
It's because she took her glasses off.
Well, like, yeah, like I don't. For some reason, the school had decided to rally around Lainey here. For some reason, they're like, yeah. I mean, maybe they've had enough of Taylor, but they could have also just voted for somebody else, just like who wasn't. You know what I mean? This movie makes no sense.
So no sooner Usher comes on over the intercoms and basically kind of just gives us the rundown that now it's official that Taylor has some competition for prom queen this year. Just Usher again with the juicy gossip.
Keeping with the whole peak 90s vibe here, since the announcement has gone out that Lainey is the nominee for prom queen, all the girls, Little Kim and her friend, get a little pager. They get a little notice on their pager, which is like, I hadn't seen one of those in forever. Man, watching this
been a while.
movie, I was like, yeah, I'm only my early 30s, but I'm like, man, I feel like so much time has passed since watching this movie. I'm like, geez, where do we live now? People had little pagers. This little, if you don't know what a pager is, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the size of like a box of Tic Tacs. Yeah, and you call somebody and it vibrates.
People still use pagers though.
Who uses a pager, Tim?
I've seen people around that use pagers. I'm pretty sure that's what they're looking at. I don't know.
Do you live near an Amish community, sir?
No.
Because I bet maybe Amish people finally graduated.
No, I don't.
I'm just
Okay.
I know. Hey, if you're an Amish person and you somehow got enough electricity to get this podcast, let me know. All right. I think that's the Mennonites that have electricity. I could be wrong. But anyways, the point of that, it was Taylor's having a bit of a midlife crisis at the age of 18, realizing that she dated some guy with, a weird Steve-O tattoo on him, and that he dumped her to go on spring break.
And she's just upset that he dumped her. That's the only thing wrong about it in her mind.
Yeah, because she's super vain, super vain.
Yeah, absolutely. Just completely vapid, just like her. So, again, I have no sympathy for her, and I guess I'm not really supposed to either, but we're just piling on more and more. Just in case you don't know, she is a horrible person. At this point, I started thinking to myself, like, why does she have any friends? She also expresses earlier in the movie that it's a legacy of her and her family to become the prom queen of their graduating year. So like her mother's been the prom queen, her aunt's been the prom queen, like all this stuff. So what's her thing here to even try to become the prom queen? It's really, really weird.
Well, you know what? Maybe like again, FPJ, she's feeling pressure from her family because his dad went to Dartmouth, so it's like upholding the legacy. And so her mom was a prom queen, and then she graduated to head waitress at Hooters. So she's got to do the same thing,
So we go to soccer practice.
Sorry, is this soccer practice or is this a game? Because this seems like they're supposed to be playing a game, but they're wearing tank tops.
That's right. They're not wearing, and some of them have numbers, but yeah, it looks like it looks like a gentleman's pickup. This is just an excuse to get into the locker room with Paul Walker and Freddie Prinze Jr. That's all this is.
That's right. And Paul Walker's in there sort of just kind of excoriating him, telling him like your head's, this is what I mean, because he's just saying stuff like, your head's not in the game and all this stuff, and you're blowing it out there. And then he's also just kind of goading him on a little bit, being like, oh, you haven't gotten any in a little while, right? And then he sort of threatens that he's going to sneak in on Lainey, and he wants to, I don't even know what he said something crazy, like he wants to get in on it, something like something that was weird and creepy, I just don't understand why Paul Walker and Freddie Prinze Jr. even talk to each other. Like, they don't seem like they're supposed to be friends at all. They seem like they're enemies. Maybe they're frenemies or something, but I don't see a world where these two have like some sort of relationship with each other other than they just like talk smack to each other when they see each other.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the point of the movie where Paul Walker just kind of goes full on jerk mode. Like whatever friendship we were supposed to be convinced that they had is completely out the window because Paul Walker was upset that Freddie Prinze Jr. missed a goal during soccer practice. Maybe that's what this fight. They start like trying to throw like fists and stuff and tackle each other in the locker room here, and the other guys that are half dressed come over and they hugging him. It's a very unintentionally homoerotic.
It's a steamy towel fight. But yeah, and like what? So again, what are the stakes here? Because it just seems like Paul Walker has waited in the shadows to sort of hatch some plan to take him down all the time. He's just like, you've been lying to everybody for 4 years, man. I know it. And he's just like, you're going down, asshole. And they just kind of like shove each other and this intense moment. And it's like, what were you trying to take him down? Well, like, I don't understand. Like, why were you guys friends? What was your motive in this? And what are the stakes here? And it's like going down. What if he doesn't take this girl? This girl doesn't win prom queen or whatever? Like when they both leave next year to college and they won't see each other ever, that's going to be some blight on this guy's pride or something. And that's a big deal. Like, who cares? Why do I care about this movie? These characters suck. These people are idiots. This one is just like, it just pisses me off on so many levels. Like, you think these are people? What is this?
Like, why does everyone have to be so damn hateful?
I don't know. We're going to drama high here.
Freddie Prinze Jr. goes to sleep. I guess you wouldn't know it, but it's pretty obvious once the scene starts going that he has a dream where basically everything that he is doing to Lainey is happening to him in the dream. And Taylor and Matthew Lillard are behind it. And he is just scared awake because, what a horrible thing to do to somebody, right?
Yeah, he's finally having some remorse, it seems like. You're seeing the character arc bend slightly, a little bit. He feels kind of bad.
He's getting a little bit of a taste of his own medicine in dream form. I guess that's something.
And we cut to the cafeteria, which this is pretty much the only thing in this movie that was like, I did not expect that. I did not expect that. So Kieran Culkin is now going around with his little pepper grinder for I don't know why he's going around with a pepper grinder, but
I said that too. Well, because we find out that he works there.
Oh, okay.
That's why he's on rollerblades and he's going around. I didn't understand it either. I was like, one, you're too young to work. You're too young to be in the high school. Like, what's happening? But he's the busboy, pepper boy.
Is this school rich enough that they have a small child roll around with roller skates and crackling freshly ground pepper on people's pâtés or something? Like, what kind of school do they go to?
Just enough for pepper. We don't see anybody around with salt, so there is enough in the budget for someone to be run around on rollerblades carrying pepper.
But just one kid, apparently. This one kid, he doesn't get to eat lunch ever. He has to roller skate around at lunchtime and crack pepper on people's stuff and then go back to the acid mines until he's required again for the next day. Like, I don't understand. This this poor kid.
So he's skating around, and then I guess some bullies who is I only recognize one of them. He's Sherman in the American Pie series movies.
Shermanator. Yep, the most annoying character in this whole entire franchise.
This is so weird. Okay, they put their arm around little brother Boggs here while he's on rollerblades, and they kind of like forcibly escort him back over to a table and seat him down. And one of them is sitting beside him, gets up close, kind of holds him there, and takes out a porn magazine.
I think that's what this is.
Yeah, it's a porn magazine, and he's like just kind of like forcing him to look at it, and the kid's uncomfortable, which is like, this is really, really odd. And then the camera pans over to the other guy, like the other bully, and he reaches into his pants. At first, as soon as he started reaching into his pants, I was like, what? One of them's holding a porn magazine, the other bully's like beside him reaching into his pants. What is happening?
Yeah, that's the math I did originally. I was like, oh my God, what is he doing right now? Where are they going with this?
He lifts his hand out and kind of hovers it over little brother Boggs' slice of pizza here and just drops a whole bunch of pubes on the pizza.
That is so gross. Why did we need this at all? This is like Animal House in high school or something. That's what they're going for.
The rest of this scene was so obvious. I was like, okay, Freddie Prinze Jr. should show up any second and put these bullies in their place. Not quite. He comes in and is just like, hey, you, stop that. You stop that too. You, eat that pizza with the pubes on it right now. And absolutely no protest at all. This bully is like, okay. And I'm like, it's so cringy and gross to watch this guy eating the pizza. He's like, no, stop eating it. You eat a bite too. So makes the other bully eat it. And it's like, gross.
That is disgusting.
I'm surprised that they just listened to him. Like, I feel bad. And I shouldn't feel too bad for them because they were just showing porn to a little kid.
And also we're going to make him eat pubes.
Yeah, it's just all so gross. So on to the next mean thing. Paul Walker decides to go and pay a visit to Lainey at the falafel joint. He is basically trying to undermine the bet by lying to Lainey and telling her that Freddie Prinze Jr. is actually still very much into Taylor. And he's just been using Lainey this whole time to make Taylor jealous. And it's worked. And you should feel foolish and not go out with Freddie Prinze Jr. anymore. And Paul Walker, in this, he uses like a very caring tone in here. So he's kind of painted himself as the good person by informing Lainey of this lie. All just so that he can win this bet and she won't go to prom with Freddie Prinze Jr.
he didn't need to make up this lie though. He literally could have come to, I mean, we'll find out later that she finds out, but he could have just come to her, and this actually would have been the more you can't see me folks at home, but I'm using air quotes right now, the nice guy sort of tactic. If he had said to her, like, you know what, I should tell you right now because I feel bad and I apologize, but I bet him this bet, and then told her that, and then been like, you know, it's wrong and I just want this to stop right now because I feel like you're being used and I don't want that to happen to you because you seem like a very nice person. If he had said that, he would have hands down won this bet. She would have just like loved this guy off.
Freddie Prinze Jr. would not have been able to recover.
Yeah, maybe she would start wearing paint-stained overalls again or whatever else, you know? Who knows?
So I guess it's the next day at school, and Taylor is approaching Freddie Prinze Jr. because she wants him to go to the prom with her so that they can be the prom king and queen that they intended to be at the very beginning of the movie. And Freddie Prinze Jr. is like, no.
So we have this meeting of Paul Walker, Lainey, and FPJ. They have this meeting. Paul Walker tells her, you know, what happened, spills the beans. She doesn't take it very well and starts screaming at him and yells at him and runs away, and she's heartbroken. So now basically what we're going to see is to lead up to prom, and FPJ is calling her, she's feeling bad about the whole thing. She's not answering the phone. She's all depressed, painting herself like a clown, and just feeling really bad for herself. Her dad comes downstairs and tries to cheer her up a little bit. And I think at this point she kind of decides that she is going to go to prom after all.
He tells her that she can't spend her life trying to hide herself from mean people and that kind of thing. You got to put yourself out there. You can't just try and do what's safe all the time, or else, and I quote, you're just going to become an old lady on the porch. He says, and why would you even bother trying to hide yourself when you've got a perfectly good, handsome-looking man upstairs that's ready to go to prom with you? So she goes upstairs, and I honestly thought that this was going to be her best friend because he seems like the only good person that's in her life at this point. But it's not. It's actually Paul Walker. And he is now basically doing your idea a little bit ago, but it's like he thought of this idea like a day after he went with his first plan. And he disposes himself as the good guy that didn't want anything like this to happen, and how, you know, he feels so bad for her and wants her to go to prom with him. That way, ensuring somehow that she's not going to be prom queen.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense, right?
Yeah, I don't understand, because he's doing this so that Paul Walker will win the bet. I don't understand how stealing her away from Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to help facilitate her not becoming prom queen.
That's right, because let's say if she doesn't show up to prom, isn't that almost 100% guarantee that she's not going to be prom queen? Because even if she got nominated and wins, like, if she's not there to accept it, I don't think you win, right? I don't know.
Yeah, shouldn't he take her to a movie? Be like, let's not go. Let's do anything except for prom. So I was not expecting a whole choreographed music number. This is like Footloose. They all know the same dance out of nowhere. And this one is highly choreographed. I would say that this is more intricate or complicated than the stuff we saw in Footloose.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like pop line dancing almost, you know, and because they're just all doing weird moves together in sort of sequence. This is like, did they go to the Grease High School? But this is Beverly Hills? I don't know. Where is this?
I know, right?
Like, I guess they're all rich enough that they can afford dance coaches. So maybe, you know, I don't know. Maybe they all got together and did this.
So, like, what in the world is this all about? Why are we watching these people dance? These people are horrible, mean people. Anyways, like, why do I want to watch them dance around? It'd be just as interrupting as if you were watching, I don't know, we mentioned Friends earlier. If we were watching Friends and then just out of nowhere, the entire cast just broke into a dance for 3 minutes. And then they go back to everything as if nothing ever happened. Because that's exactly what they do here.
For some reason, her art teacher showed up to prom, right? To find her and be like, hey, I like that picture you painted of your mom. It's the best picture of the year. And like, way to go. So why?
Because she's going to recommend him to, for the art colleges that she applied to, which, honestly, I don't think 8 days before graduation, that's really going to do a whole lot.
I guess so. And then so we cut to the bathroom, and it looks like, all the boys are just like, they're all pre-gaming in there, all just having a couple drinks from their flasks in the bathroom. Nothing like drinking a little bit of bourbon out of a thing while someone's taking a hot dump a couple stalls away from you. But it looks like, Paul Walker's bragging. He says he's got a room key for the hotel there. And I guess his plan is that he's going to take Lainey up there. I think that's what the idea is. And, deflower her.
It's like I said earlier. Why? So when he went to her house to pick her up and take her to prom, I don't understand why he took her to prom. Like if his intentions were to get her away and take her to the hotel before prom ends so that she won't be prom queen, why did he even bother bringing her to prom? He's the only reason she's there.
Well, yeah, I guess he just wants to bang her. I guess this is all some weird. This is weird. It's like some weird elaborate con that Paul Walker set up years ago that he wanted this girl to be he's like, I'll buy low, sell high with this stock on this chick or something, and then I'm also gonna screw over Freddie Prinze Jr. It seems like Paul Walker's been lying in wait to do a lot of stuff. Like maybe he's a sneaky character. I don't know. He's in the washroom bragging. They all leave, and who comes out of the washroom but Fulton, and he has heard this whole thing happening. So he runs out of the washroom, and who does he run up to?
He runs to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s sister. By the way, wait, can we let's just take a quick moment for a second?
Yep.
Because we skipped over one part that I forgot to talk about. Freddie Prinze Jr., who did he go to prom with?
He went to prom with Taylor, didn't he?
He took his sister to prom.
Are they in California or Alabama? What's going on here? This guy's taking his sister to prom? What is going on?
I didn't think that they were actually going together until they walked in arm in arm together. And I was like, huh, interesting. I don't know why his sister needed that.
Right? Okay, so is his sister a nerd and she doesn't have a date or something? Like, it seemed like, because at the beginning of the movie, she was going out to try to flirt up some other guy's or some other girl's brother. So it seems like, she's putting herself out there, so to speak. So no one wanted to take her for a date. She just figured she'd just save herself in case her brother asked her. What is going on? What is this movie?
Prom never mattered to me in as much as it does to a lot of people, but I wouldn't want to be any age, say later on, I'm 50 years old, and my son asked me, "Oh, I went with my sister. Your Aunt Shirley."
Why would someone even write this into a movie?
I don't know. My mind is blown. Why did you not go with Taylor? Right? You would think that would make the sense. He would just bite the bullet and then show up there begrudgingly and be like, "All right, I'll take you to the prom. Sorry, whatever."
I think I would sooner not go at all.
Yeah.
So, anyways, going back to that point, I was just reminded of it when Buddy in the bathroom there ran up to Freddie Prinze Jr. to let her know that he heard about this entire bet and that it wasn't actually conveyed to Lainey the way it played out. Even though, honestly, I think it was. But anyways, they decide that it is time to announce who is going to be the prom king and prom queen. As if there was any doubt, Freddie Prinze Jr. is the prom king here. Because there's just no other guys that could possibly contend, and everybody voted for Freddie Prinze Jr. Then it's the big question now. Who is going to be the prom queen? Who is going to win this bet
that we have no idea what happens to the winners or the losers?
And why do we care?
Yeah, so that's the kind of suspense we're at right now. Taylor, the horrible, mean girl of this movie who dumped Freddie Prinze Jr. at the very beginning to date Proc Hudson, is the prom queen. Again, how in the world did all of these people, and by the way, I believe it was 64% to 44% because they gave the actual percentages of what the high school students voted. So she won by 64%. This person who is just nasty and terrible to everybody is the prom queen. And she wants to kiss Freddie Prinze Jr. and he is like, nuh-uh.
Well, he is interrupted because it looks like Fulton has made his way down to the stage now. He's huffed and puffed his way down there, and he sort of called Zach off the stage and said, like, hey, this is what your boy Paul Walker is trying to do here. He's trying to go all fast and furious, shall we say. He's trying to go a quarter mile down that strip. That's how he lives his life. And so Zach freaks out and runs out of the place and drives off down the road and tries to get a hold of Lainey.
Well, he's calling random hotel rooms or hotels, because that's the tip that he got, is that they went to a hotel.
But so weren't they just in a hotel though? That was a giant hotel. You would think that if you got a hotel room, it would be in that hotel room, right? That you would run around that hotel room being like, which room did he say? 409? Let me go up there real quick. Let me go up to the 4th floor, see if I can find this guy, But he just apparently took off in his Jeep, like completely the opposite way of the hotel. So that makes sense.
So the screen fades to black as Freddie Prinze Jr. is driving around the city, checking out different hotels. And then we go to Lainey's home, where her brother and her father are sitting on the couch, and his father is asking his brother for basically just advice on basic knowledge, like shapes and stuff like that. It's just so dumb. And then in walks Lainey, and her father and her brother are like, how was prom? And she's obviously like really, really, really sad. Honestly, I'm not sure. Is she sad because she didn't get to be the prom queen? Is that why she's so sad?
I don't know. The whole thing doesn't, I don't know. Like what happened to Paul Walker?
Exactly, right? I have no idea. By the way, he's gone for the rest of the movie. So I don't know what happened to Paul Walker.
I'm not even going to make that joke, but yeah, know.
Don't go there. So anyways, she's obviously really, really sad, but she's kind of like trying to put on a strong face for her father. And then he's like, well, you know what? You still have company here, so maybe we'll leave. And the camera kind of pans to the corner, and Freddie Prinze Jr. is standing there. Because I don't know. I don't know how he just went there. He got home. She left before him, and he went around the city checking out different hotels, but still got to her house before she did.
Just think about that, because she's now really excited. And can you imagine that? Just like that moment there where her dad's like, hey, sweetheart, guess what? You remember that young boy that's really popular that actually just bet on you because he thought you were horribly ugly? Well, he showed up here and he actually kind of likes you now that you're hot again. And he's here. You want to see him? and she's just excited. She's elated. She's so pumped. Now they're in the back of like this wicked house that she lives in with the pool and stuff. And I don't know who has set up all these lights, but someone has just decked this entire backyard out, top to bottom, in like these wicked looking lights. It's like a little prom there. Like I wouldn't have gone to prom. I would just floated in that pool and had a bunch of drinks. That would have been my prom. It would have been the best prom ever.
Yeah, it's like the father just made this whole thing up, like presented this this gift of a night for his daughter. Like you said, this for this guy who just did something absolutely atrocious to her.
Maybe he was just like, well, my daughter's not that cool. I know that someone's going to eventually just rip on her and she'll come home crying. So maybe I'll just make her feel good. He knew that this was like Carrie, except she wasn't going to get blood dumped on her.
And he learned the lesson that Freddie Prinze Jr. Taught us earlier, in that, you got to accept all the bad stuff if you want to enjoy the good. So he's like, yeah, my daughter is unpopular. She's kind of a loser. She wears glasses. I guess she should be lucky that Freddie Prinze Jr. came over tonight and changed his tune a little bit. I think I'm going to decorate. So, anyways, they're out behind the house to no music, having a slow dance.
So before we fade out there, you kind of hear them talking to each other, and she says, "What were the stipulations?" And he said, "You'll find out. I never back down from a bet." And so we go to graduation, and apparently now Taylor is just like chain smoking in the back here. She's just living hard. She's living her hardest life now. She's got tattoos and smoking in the back for graduation. So she's doing that, and everyone's just kind of sitting there hanging out for graduation. And we find out that apparently the stipulation was, if Lainey was not the prom queen, Zach has to show up in his birthday suit to graduation. He's got to be naked. That's the entire.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah. And you know what? All he has to do is just go, no, I'm good. But he just goes up there and then apparently hucks a ball to Lainey. So now he is bare ass naked in front of friends and family and who knows how many people. And that's just where we leave the movie.
I think somebody behind the scenes has a crush on Freddie Prinze Jr.
Right?
Because, like, of all the ways you could end this movie, we're left with Freddie Prinze Jr. naked in front of a massive audience. And by the way, everybody in this crowd is like, it loves it. They're like cheering. They're like clapping and like high-fiving each other. Like, this is everything I wanted for graduation. And like, what about all the older people, like families and stuff that are there?
Yeah, you'd be hearing gasps and stuff. And it's not like, how did he just do that too? Did he just walk in there naked? Did he have a gown on? Because you don't see a gown anywhere.
He's just sitting there naked. And it's like, everyone's okay with it. Yeah, that's all right.
He's got a volleyball over his bird and that's it. Like, that's all it's covering him.
Everything, all these horrible things that everybody did is completely forgotten about. No consequences for anybody, well, except for Lainey.
Yeah, she's just used in this movie. It's like, look, I mean, that seems to be the message. Like, look, you want to date the prom king here, you just got to make yourself up, loser.
Yeah, and if you do horrible things to your peers, you still might be lucky to get the girl, as long as you're willing to flash everybody at your high school graduation. I think it's safe to say that I don't get this movie.
This was a tough one. This was another tough one. I mean, we gotta start making this easier on ourselves. I don't know, but you know, that's okay. 2020 was a rough year, and we're starting it off a little rocky with this one too, unfortunately. But, you know, I guess it can only go up from here because we never have to talk about this movie again. So that's a huge plus, folks.
We're always going to reach a bottom.
That's it, you know. Like Zach Galifianakis says in Due Date, it's all uphill from here. But again, before we go, we're just going to let you know, at Good Times with Bad Movies on Instagram, please, you know, like it. Check it out. We always put clips on there from the shows. We're always trying to update it and put stuff up there every week. And subscribe to our YouTube page because we always put stuff up there as well too. And follow me and Tim on Instagram too as well for fun little stuff and seeing what we're doing and checking out our lives. And we'll see you on the next one.